She wasn't a wife. She wasn't a prostitute. She was a weapon. Tonight, you are going to meet a category of woman that Japanese history would very much prefer you forget. Western books call them ninja. Japanese sources, when they admit they existed at all, called them Kunoichi, written with the 3 strokes that together form the character for woman. Most of what you've seen about them in films is wrong. They didn't fight in black hoods on rooftops. They almost never used a sword. They were not, generally, beautiful. Beautiful women were watched. Beautiful women were noticed. A Kunoichi who got noticed was a dead Kunoichi. What they did instead was, in many ways, far more dangerous. They served tea. They folded laundry. They braided hair. They held babies. They cleaned floors in the homes of warlords who would have killed them on the spot if a single corner of the truth had ever been turned up. They listened. They counted soldiers. They memorized maps drawn in chalk on a child's sleeping mat. They copied seals onto rice paper. They poisoned when they had to. They left when they had to. And most importantly, they never, ever looked back. Imagine you are 8 years old. Your father has just been killed in a clan dispute. Your mother is gone, possibly dead, possibly sold. You are wandering a snowy mountain road, alone, in winter, and you are starting to understand quietly that you are going to die out here in a day or 2. Then a woman, also walking, stops in front of you. She is in her 40s. She is unremarkable. Her kimono is the color of dust. She does not smile. She does not ask if you are lost. She asks one single question. Can you keep a secret? You say yes. You say it with frostbite eating at the tips of your fingers. You say it because anything is better than the snow. She takes you to a small mountain temple. There are 17 other girls there. Some are 5, some are 15. None of them speak above a whisper. None of them know each other's real names. The woman who brought you in becomes your teacher. She has a name, but she will never tell you what it is. She is simply called older sister. You are not training to be a wife. You are not training to be a courtesan. You are training to disappear. Stay with me. The next 16 minutes are going to surprise you. The training begins at dawn, not with a blade, with a broom. You sweep the temple courtyard for 2 full hours every morning for the next 3 years. While you sweep, your older sister walks behind you and watches your shoulders. If your shoulders rise even a little, when she steps closer, you sweep a 4th hour, then a 5th. You learn to be unsurprised by anything. This is the first lesson and the most important. A kunoichi who flinches when a hand lands on her wrist, when a footstep sounds in an empty room, when a wine cup tips over. That woman is dead in 3 days in any household worth infiltrating. The second lesson is harder. You learn to forget your own face. You spend hours in front of a polished bronze mirror. You practice 5 faces. The face of a country girl, the face of a tired mother, the face of an old grandmother, the face of a deaf servant, the face of a woman who is in love with the man across the room. You hold each face for an hour. If any one of them slips, you start over. By 11, you can make yourself ugly on command. Then you learn the languages, not just Japanese, the dialects, the way a fishwife in Sakai talks, the way a farmwife in Ichigo prays, the way a scullery maid from a daimyo's household greets a falconer. You learn 6 dialects fluently before you are 13. You will use all of them. Then you learn the codes. Some are written in flower arrangements. A chrysanthemum tilted west means a meeting at the gate that night. Some are written in the way a hairpin is angled in a top knot. 3 to the left means safe. 3 to the right means run. Some are written in spilled tea on a tatami mat, to be read once and then mopped up. You learn 46 codes, you memorize them, you burn the paper, then come the poisons. You learn which ones look like sake, which ones look like soup, which ones taste like nothing for the first 3 days, and then unmake a man from the inside on the 4th. You learn the antidotes for each one, because you will, eventually, drink the wrong cup. Every kunoichi, your older sister tells you matter-of-factly, drinks the wrong cup, at least once. Then come the weapons. There are no swords, there never are. A swordsman with a kunoichi pinned in a corner is a man who has already won. What you learn instead, what you are about to see, is much, much smaller and much, much harder to forgive. Pull a hairpin out of an Edo-era top knot, and you are holding a knife, not a metaphor, an actual knife. A Kanzashi, sharpened along one slim edge, was a standard kunoichi tool. They were carried by every well-dressed woman in the country. Most were ornamental, some were not. A guard inspecting a guest at a daimyo's gate would by custom never touch a woman's hair. Her hair could carry a 6-inch blade. Pull a fan out of an obi sash and you are holding a shield. Tessen, iron-ribbed war fans, were technically issued to samurai. But a kunoichi could carry a folding fan with 3 lacquered iron ribs hidden inside the wood, and use it to deflect a blade aimed at her throat in the half-second before she got out the door. Court ladies carried fans constantly. Nobody searched a fan. Pull the sash off entirely, and you are holding a weapon nobody has a name for. The obi, the long silk band that ties a kimono shut, could be 6 feet long. A kunoichi trained to flick it, two-handed, could whip it across an attacker's throat hard enough to crush a windpipe. There are surviving training scrolls, fragmentary, hidden in temple archives in Iga and Koga, that diagram exactly this maneuver. But the deadliest tool a kunoichi carried was none of these. The deadliest tool was conversation. You are 17 now. Your older sister has placed you finally in your first real assignment. You are a junior maid in the household of a daimyo named, let's say, Lord Nagao. He has a beautiful wife. He has 3 small children. He has a rebellion brewing in his eastern provinces. And your clan, the clan that took you in at 8 and trained you for 9 years, needs to know exactly when, exactly where, and with how many men. You don't pick locks. You don't read his letters. You braid his eldest daughter's hair every morning. The 7-year-old girl chats while you braid, about her tutor, about her favorite cousin, about the strange men her father keeps meeting in the back garden, about the new horses being delivered next month. 20 of them, the daughter says. Isn't that exciting? About the sound of metal in the storehouse on rainy nights. About the maps her father unrolls on his low desk after dinner. Maps with funny squiggly lines that look like the rivers in the eastern provinces. You smile. You braid the hair carefully. You compliment the girl on her ribbon. 8 weeks later, every single piece of information that little girl ever told you is on a folded paper, hidden in the lining of a fan, on its way to your clan. The rebellion fails before it begins. Lord Nagao never figures out how. Her name was Mochizuki Chiyome. We have her. The historical record has her a real woman born in the early 16th century, widowed young in the brutal warfare of the Sengoku period, and recruited, let that word sit there for a moment, by Takeda Shingen, one of the most feared warlords in Japanese history. Takeda did not ask her to join his army. He asked her to build him an army of women. Mochizuki, sometime around 1561, established a school in the mountains of Shinano. On the surface, it was a charitable refuge for war orphans, war widows, and miko, shrine maidens, who had lost their temples in the fighting. Local people approved. Local people brought in their starving daughters. The school grew. By some estimates, 300 girls passed through it in less than a decade. What they were actually being trained to be, you already know. Mochizuki's women fanned out across rival provinces, disguised as miko, traveling shrine performers, fortune tellers. The disguise was perfect. A miko was sacred. A miko was untouchable. A miko could enter any household, any temple, and ask intimate questions about a family's fortunes without raising a single eyebrow. The miko prayed. The miko listened. The miko reported back. When Takeda's enemies could not understand how their secret war councils kept leaking, when they could not understand how their assassination plots collapsed before the assassins reached the gate, they suspected betrayal among their generals. They suspected coded letters. They tortured their own retainers. They did not suspect the cheerful young miko who blessed their wife's rice planting last spring. There was also Tachibana Ginchio, daughter of a Kyushu warlord, who at age 15 took command of her father's castle and led a unit of armed women in actual combat. There were the women of the Mori clan, who slipped into the besieged city of Totori and reported back the locations of food caches. There were the named and the unnamed and the deliberately unnamed. There was also the price. Mochizuki Chiyome's school officially disbanded around 1573 when Takeda Shingen died. Of the 300 women trained there, only a handful are recorded as having survived their assignments. The rest, and this is in the Takeda clan's own internal records, are listed as either disappeared, fallen ill, or fallen from a high place. Fallen from a high place was a Sengoku-era euphemism. It meant captured, interrogated, killed, and then thrown from a castle wall to make the death look accidental, so the village she came from wouldn't ask questions. 300 women. We do not know any of their names. We know hers because she ran the school. We know the women who fought openly with armor and a banner. We know the loud ones, the quiet ones, the ones who actually did the work, vanished by design. That was the design. 1868. The Tokugawa shogunate falls. The Meiji Emperor rises. Japan, in less than a decade, decides it would like to be modern. It invites European advisors. It builds railroads. It puts the samurai class out of work. It writes new history books, clean ones, official ones, for European readers who would like to think of Japan as a civilized nation. In those new history books, there are no Kunoichi. The official Meiji line, repeated for 150 years, is that female ninja were a folk myth, a fantasy from cheap kabuki plays, a story for children. Real espionage, the new history said, was conducted by men, honorable men, samurai men. Anything else would have been beneath the dignity of the Japanese state. The Kunoichi, who were still alive in 1868, and there were some elderly women in their 60s and 70s who had served in the dying years of the shogunate. kept quiet. Of course they did. They had been keeping quiet for 50 years. Quiet was the entire skill. They died in mountain villages. They died in convents. A few left letters stored in the family chests of relatives who didn't know what they meant. Most of those letters were burned in the bombings of 1945. What we have left is fragments, training scrolls hidden in temple ceilings, names listed once, in passing, in a Takeda or Hojo internal document, the signature of an unnamed maid on a household roster from a castle that fell 300 years ago. Mochizuki Chiyome's last known act, which is, appropriately, that she is not recorded as having died. She simply, one summer, stopped being mentioned. Tonight, 3 centuries later, here we are. In the chamber where the 7-year-old daughter is having her hair braided. In the mountain temple where the 8-year-old girl was asked, on a snowy road, if she could keep a secret. In Mochizuki Chiyome's school, with 300 girls who will not be remembered. There is a saying among modern Japanese intelligence historians, modern, civilian, openly published, that goes like this: if a Kunoichi was good at her job, you have never heard of her. The most successful spies in Japanese history, by that definition, are women whose names you and I will never ever know. That, in the end, was the point. If you like this story, and let's be honest, you wouldn't still be here at 16 minutes in if you didn't, hit subscribe. We are Ukiyo Untold. Every week, another story Japan never told you. Next week, another woman they tried very hard to forget. See you then.